Switching from hobby to business as a photographer can be daunting, especially if all you've done is treat this path as a hobby. This is one of the few reasons hobbyists do not make money in this craft. The photography business is still valued at billions. There is still a market for photography. I do agree that video is, of course, taking over, but it's definitely not taking photography out of the equation, and it's not taking over photography. They all have their purpose, and photography will stand the test of time. This episode is for photographers who are struggling to switch from being hobbyists to businesses. By the time you are done listening to this episode, you will understand and know how to make the transition from a hobbyist to a business. A hobby is what you do when you are free, anything you enjoy doing. And in this episode, we are looking at photography being your hobby. You only do photography when you are free. There are a few people who have their hobbies as their businesses, though I find this quite impossible because once that hobby business begins to pay the bills or brings in money, the hobby side of it is going to diminish. And what happens next is that you find another hobby and treat your hobby business as a business. A business is a professional trade that makes you money, whilst a hobby is what you do when you're free. This is the big difference. When we are in the hobby phase, wanting to transition to a business, we find it difficult to make the move. Maybe it's the most difficult thing you ever experience in your career, putting a price on what you love. I have been there just like you are now. I loved photography so much that I thought putting a price on my work was making it feel unholy, I should say. It felt like I was making my pure work dirty. Charging a fee felt like a dirty thing to do at the time, and it held me back for months. Now I'm going to be sharing with you 3 steps to transition from being a hobbyist to a business. Thing number 1, be present. What I mean is that you should choose a platform where you can share your work, a platform which agrees with the kind of photos you make. If the platform doesn't agree with what you make, you hardly make any money. This is like selling toffees in a neighborhood which has 90% of its population diabetic. You say yes, you are present on the internet and on social media. Then this brings me to point number 2. But then first, I would like you to know this. To be present is to be available. Nobody can purchase anything from you if they can't see what you sell. Alright, so thing number 2, sell your work. Many photographers are not good when it comes to selling. I was very, very bad. Very bad. I say this all the time. Selling is 50% confidence. The rest will follow. Cold emailing, cold calls, approach people or businesses. You want to tell them what your photography can do for them and how your niche will support their profile or business or their event. A business is not a business if nobody is buying from you, or if nobody is buying. You are always thinking about the customer, what's in it for them. Now, thing number 3, understand how to price your product or your service. I have a simple formula, and I believe this is what most businesses use without much thought because it is assumed to be a default. And this is it. Revenue minus cost equals profit. It's a simple formula. Revenue minus cost equals profit. So what is revenue? It is the overall amount of money you charge a client for your service. Now, what is cost? Cost is the money you had to spend to produce the photos for a client. And then what is profit? Profit is what you get after you subtract cost from revenue. So let me just make a rough example. Let's say the revenue or the total or the overall amount of money you charge a client is 5,000 cedis. Now, 5,000 cedis is the overall amount you decided to charge a client for the work you want to produce for them. Now, your cost, after calculating everything, you realize that your cost is 2,500. Now, what is the profit you have left? This is where you subtract, you take out cost, you take cost out of your revenue, and then you realize that you have a profit of 2,500. Now, understanding money and pricing is essential to the growth of a business. If you do not, you will not make money and you'll be back to ground zero and fail to transition from hobby to business. You'll get paid, of course, but you will not have enough money to run a business. In the end, transitioning from hobby to business is all about confidence, like 90% confidence. It was confidence that made me make the transition, and it will be what will help you make that transition. Have some confidence and make the transition. Don't overthink the future. Do what needs to be done today. Make the switch. I hope this episode helped you. I'm Clement Eastwood. I'm a photographer and an author who has made it his mission to educate photographers. And I'm going to leave a link in my description so that you check it out. You check my books out. And thank you for listening to this episode. I hope it brought you value. Don't forget to subscribe and then leave me a review. See you in the next episode.